Hi everyone! I am recording a video response to an awesome comment that was left on the session 3 recording. So Liz, you talk about tone policing, and I think that is a really great point to bring up, and I can understand why, especially when we talk about the second law of motion. We talk about net forces, and I specifically called out information versus presentation. I can very much see how that would sound like tone policing, so I thank you for bringing this up. Tone policing is about calling out somebody else for the way that they are presenting their information. This lesson is the only policing that's happening here is of ourselves, not of anybody else. So that said, when we are encountered with someone who is angry, and we're trying to figure out like, okay, I'm aware of, Newton's laws of motion, and the sum of the forces, the net force here is accelerating people in a direction against what this person is trying to achieve. And so maybe you're feeling this need to like provide this feedback to this person or something. Or maybe you're in a situation where you yourself, maybe the feedback is coming at you, the anger is being directed at you, and you're like, whoa, hold on. This is where we get to the information we talked about in session 2. So this is where we're going to really pull on those improv skills of choosing curiosity instead of judgment, listening hygiene, maintaining faith in our scene partner, really, remembering the whole of this human soul that's in front of us. And we know that when people are lashing out in anger, it's because of hurt. Liz, one really critical thing that I think of is this improv skill of not missing the gift. So, it's easy to do because everything is a gift. That's that gift orientation skill we talked about in session 2. Receive everything as a gift because it is, and it's a shame to miss the gift because of the wrapping paper. I read a book recently called The 4 Agreements. It's a Toltec wisdom book. And the author gives 4 suggestions. He says that there are 4 agreements for inner peace. And what I teach, and you know this if you saw session 2 and you saw that yes and confrontation flow chart, and I talk about the critical nature of getting into alignment before you respond. And how, that is the way that we stand in our integrity. That is the way that we stay rooted in love. It's called the 4 Agreements. And the first one is don't take anything personally. The second one is don't make assumptions. Ask brave questions. I love that advice so much. And I think my future friend Brene Brown would also really love that advice. Number 3 is be impeccable with your word. And this is where I just really want to double down here, because be impeccable with your word means you have no control over anybody else, right? We're not asserting control on anyone else. We're not policing anyone else. We're policing ourselves. Be impeccable with your word when you are speaking to this person and when you leave and you're speaking about this person. So in session 2, we talked about that critical decision right after something happens. What is the story you're going to tell about what you just experienced? That is sacred space right there. And this book really helped me be a good steward of the opportunity that is that vulnerable moment. So be impeccable with your word. And then number 4 is always do your best. So I will leave it to you guys to check that book out. And I think he shares his perspective, not better than I can. But it was very, very meaningful to me. So I heard really great advice from someone named Esther Hicks, who is a very meaningful person to me. And I want to do 2 things right now, which is give credit to her because this was her wisdom, but I also don't want to misquote anything. So you're kind of getting the Andrea spin on this idea. No human person goes from feeling hopeless, depressed, fearful. Nobody goes from feeling that way to joy, gratitude, love, optimism, right? Like in 1 second. That's a quantum leap is what she calls that. And the deepest truth, like the story of human emotion is that we pass through anger in order to get to those feelings of love, gratitude, those high vibe feelings, as some people call them. We are not seeing all of who someone is in 1 split second that someone is angry in front of us. We're seeing one part of their story. And what I am committed to doing in my life right now, as best I can, is being so deeply rooted in what I know is true, so deeply rooted in love, so deeply rooted in my integrity, that I can't get accelerated in not the direction that this person is hoping for, because the sum of their forces is pushing me that way. That's the temptation, right? And it's okay if you get accelerated momentarily. My commitment is to allow myself as a fellow human being to feel my feelings, but to remember the trajectory that I'm really on, because I am moving in that person's same direction. I am moving in the same direction of love, equality, justice. I'm moving in that same direction. And so even if this person's presentation of their perspective is causing me to feel defensive or causing me to feel some kind of something, I want to be so committed to love and integrity that I cannot be accelerated for too long in an opposite direction. I can be a good steward of my privilege by sticking to my guns here and saying, I am going to be aware of my net force. I am going to be aware of what kind of airfoil I'm creating. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, watch session 3. You'll learn about Newton's laws of motion and how they directly apply to creating, actually helping someone grow, actually helping yourself grow, actually getting some forward momentum on sensitive topics. That's what session 3 was about. So to me, part of being an ally, part of being a conspirator, is understanding this and committing to this work. It's not about what anybody else does. It's about what I'm going to do, right? And so the reason why I feel very confident in sticking to my guns about this net forces principle and how it applies to confrontation is that this is not tone policing, because I'm not policing anyone else. I'm policing myself. I'm committing to this work for myself. And when I am in the presence of an angry person, I'm going to say, I love you. I see the deeper you. I see the message that you are trying to convey, and I will, with all of my might, with all of my heart, do my very best to amplify that deeper message. And I will do my very best to do my work, to be accountable to my work when I am in the room with white people that are saying things that I'm like, ooh, yikes, I don't know. Because let's not overlook that first law of motion, right? That an object will tend to stay at rest or tend to stay on its current trajectory unless there is a compelling external force to make it shift directions. So part of this to me, Liz, is saying, I am willing to be that force. I am willing to be that external factor. So I didn't mean for this to turn into a whole additional training, but I did want to give a very thoughtful response to Liz's very thoughtful question, and I didn't feel like I could do it justice by just typing a comment. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Liz, thank you for that thoughtful question, and I look forward to seeing you guys all on Friday at 12 p.m. I'm going to start going live every week at that time with more advice for peace-building conspirators. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate all of the participation, and I really appreciate the effort you guys have been going to invite other people. I've seen so many new faces just in the last 2 days alone, so thank you guys so much for helping to further this work and further this cause. I deeply appreciate it. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys all on Friday. Bye.